Tip it in the next county for all I care. It's still going in the pit. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to our latest review. Well, I say review, it's more me just having a bit of fun and enjoying myself kind of this time really, with the JCB loading shovel. And the review machine in question, as already hinted at, is JCB's latest 419S. Now those of you with a good memory well, remember the first version of the 419S came onto the scene, and I think it was about 2017, 2018, something like that. Obviously, that replaced the 418S. And then a couple of years later, 2019, at I think it was at Agritechnica when it was first revealed, along came this 419S, which is basically now meets stage 5, but along with stage 5 emissions compliance, the JCB engineers also thought, do you know what, we'll stick a few more toys on this 419S. So that's what they did, and that's what we've got for a little look and a little play. Well, as I've already mentioned, when the first 419S come onto the scene, when it went from 418 to 419, that was when all the major changes happened on this pivot steel loader. There was quite a lot of major changes, chassis changes, engine changes, driveline changes, the works. They pretty much took that opportunity to go right through the machine and alter quite a few things. This time around the changes are a little bit more subtle, but one or two of them are fairly significant, as we're about to find out. So in terms of the butt raking job we find ourselves doing today, we are clamping a bit of grass chopped by a forage wagon, which always brings with it just that slightly extra challenges to when it comes to getting it in the pit. It's never just quite as easy to play with as precision chopped grass, but fear not, I've got a 419S. No one cares. Tip it in the next county for all I care. It's still going in the pit. So in terms of the motor that's in the back of this, still the Cummins 6.7 litre 6-cylinder, proper job. And I'll tell you what, you probably can't hear it on my mic, but it's got a lovely rumble to it. It's a proper burble. Thinks it's a V8. Now in terms of what they've done with the engine management, well, the power management on this machine, they've basically given it 2 power ratings effectively. Now this is kind of in recognition. It's basically JCB acknowledging, actually 419S, it's not just like its big brother. Its big brother, the 435S, is pretty much an out-and-out clamp machine. Hence why it's got the self-proclaimed name, King of the Clamp. Now, the 419S, still ruddy good on the clamp, But because it's just that little bit smaller, it can turn its hand a little bit more easily to other jobs. It's not uncommon and it's not unknown for 419Ss to be used that little bit more year round on particularly on large scale farms. You know, you can fill a diet feeder with it, you can do various other jobs around the yard. Granted, it's probably not as flexible as maybe a pivot steer telehandler, for instance. You know, for example, JCB's new TM 419S, it probably hasn't quite got that amount of flexibility. But if you're a farmer and you are doing quite a bit of contracting on the side or something like that, then 419S might actually be the machine for you. Now, like I say, in recognition of the machine potentially being that little bit more all-round, what JCB has done is introduce these two power levels. So one is 144 horsepower. Now they're saying that's perfect for basically the yard work, you know, materials handling on the flat, moving around, lifting and carrying, fetching and picking up stuff where you don't need all that power. And therefore, if you're not using all that power, you're not burning all that extra juice. And then stick it in full power mode, which is a button on here, and I think they're calling it dynamic power. Press the button, dash lights up red, it likes to make a little bit of an event of it, and then away you go, climbing a clamp, butt raking to your heart's content, trying not to push back walls out. And at that point, that's when it goes all the way up to 195 horse. So just to recap, previous 419S, that was 180 horsepower all day long, the one horsepower level. Now you got 2 horsepower levels, 144 horse for materials handling and whatnot. Then you dial it up, well, you don't even dial it up, you hit a big button here, like I say, everything lights up, and then you got 195 horsepower to play with from that 6.7 litre Cummins engine. It's got to be said, actually going to this new dynamic power mode, especially the top horsepower rating on this machine, 195 horse. Yeah, it's only 15 horse more than before, but I tell you what, it's a very noticeable 15 horse. Definitely shyer horses, put it that way. And the increased torque level as well. I mean, it's not just the increased torque level, it's the way they've remapped the torque curve on this thing as well. It's actually quite noticeable. And I've heard quite a few other people say it's quite noticeable too. In terms of power to weight ratio, I think it's still JCB's magical 17 horsepower per tonne or thereabouts, obviously depending on which mode you're in. Whether you're in gentle yard mode or let's go crazy dynamic mode. Right, transmission wise,